Hello and welcome to Cracked Open, a podcast guiding you on your journey to becoming a vessel of unconditional love. This is your host, Beck Milonis, High Priestess, Channel, and Activator. Join me on this series as I share reflections, insights, and channel transmissions from my journey of walking the initiation path. Each episode is a unique transmission containing supportive frequencies to facilitate the deepest healing, activation, and reconnection with your soul. I invite you to open your mind and set the intention to receive this episode into your heart space. Let's go.
What is crack-a-lackin', my beautiful star family? Just inviting you all to take a deep inhale and exhale for welcoming all you beautiful souls to the star portal from all across our beautiful planet, Mother Gaia. You're all being beamed down from the sacred sites, the sacred portals, and this is a council session with the Stars family on Earth. Welcome, Star family, to the galactic portal, the galactic council, where we are about to go on a little journey together to receive some of those beautiful dragon codes. We have a special guest with us who is carrying a lot of dragon frequency, and this is going to be an activation. So we know that we're in this Instagram world of scrolling, but if your soul is being called to this moment and you can just pause the scrolling culture, I promise there's going to be an activation for you. So we are calling in our beautiful friend of Star Codes. She goes by the name of Beck Milonis, and she is carrying a lot of amazing frequency dragon codes. I met the lovely Beck in Mexico City, and we've hit it off. And just welcoming you to the Star Portal and in connection with our beautiful Star family from across the world. And we're honored to have you today.
Hi everyone. Hi. I'm streaming from Bali, guys. I just need you all to know that we're in some really potent energy right now. I am sitting in a house which is basically a dragon temple. There's a big dragon in the river in front of me. We're like fully in this energy, and I'm so excited to be here to be sharing it.
Amazing. So, I feel like our dragon portal is open because we kind of briefly checked in and the dragons came down and it's like, go. So let's just jump into it if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love for you to share your relationship with the dragons and how you connected with this sort of frequency that's prevalent, like in the field with many starseeds.
Okay. Whew. Actually, I'm just going to call them to speak through me because it's like, where do we even begin? I work a lot with the land, and I get called to work in certain places of the land. And I didn't have, like, my awareness of dragons first came through the dragon lines of the earth. And I actually remember the first dragon that connected with me. It scared the shit out of me. It was so intense. Can I say shit on here? I'm sorry.
Of course.
Okay, great. It was like this energy it was fierce, and it was commanding, and it was in its power, and it like kind of put me on my knees, and I was like, whoa, I'm a bit afraid of this, right? And I think we as a society, as a humanity, there's a lot of, I want to say, like, misconceptions about dragon and dragon energy, and they've been demonized through our culture for us to be afraid of them because they have this power. And so for me, dragons represent complete sovereignty, and they represent the feminine and the masculine in complete harmony. They're unfuckwithable. They are like in their power. They are forces of divine love. And I think there's a reason why they've been so misconstrued throughout time. And there's like old lineages of ancient masters who still pay respects to the dragon. But if you look at any of our folklore, like rescue the woman from the dragon, like the dragon's bad, the dragon's hoarding gold. And I think it's because humanity hasn't been ready until recently to connect with the power that they represent. because humanity hasn't been able to wield this power without becoming corrupt or corrupting it. So for me, dragons represent an energy which is alchemy. They are alchemists. They bend space and time. And when I connect to the dragon master lineage, this is a lineage of ancient masters who they are alchemists primarily. So I've been on this long ass initiation with the dragons for a long time, first to master my own energy, but then to get called to sacred sites to receive from different dragon portals and that sort of thing. And what is happening, and the reason why they're so alive in our consciousness right now, is like they were underground for so fucking long, because it's like they had to go underground. And the actual dragon masters, whoa, my whole body is vibrating right now.
Yes.
This is a huge transmission for someone. They were, how do I say this in a way that's graceful? Like, taken out, I want to say. Like, there's a lineage of dragon masters that were taken out, and they held these codes, and they went underground because humanity was not ready for it. So they're like, let's bury this shit so it doesn't come into the wrong hands. Over the past years, it's been coming up really big in the collective, and lots of people have been called to work with dragons. There's like a dragon frenzy going on, and I think it's because we're ready to work with this power. So for me, the initiations with dragon energy has been really coming into peace with my darkness, and the times when I have corrupted, or I have corrupted the earth with my power, when my power has corrupted me, that sort of thing. And only through coming to terms with my own darkness have I been able to wield this energy with purity, right? And so that's a piece that, I don't know, they're feeling to say this because they are guardians of the underworld, right? And so they are beyond light and dark. They are above it all. They don't see darkness as dark and bad. They see it as necessary. And it's this whole spectrum where everything is divine and everything is necessary. And you can't go into the fucking underworld and excavate things from the underworld and pass souls through the underworld if you're afraid of your own darkness, right? You have to command presence. And so that first dragon I met was showing me where I was not in my power, because I was like, holy fuck, this is a powerful force. And I think those of us who are here to relay dragon codes, we can be really misunderstood, or people can be intimidated by us. People are intimidated by me all the time in my energy, because it's this strong, commanding presence of, you are not in victimhood. You are a sovereign creator, right? Yeah. So I'm going to let you talk for a bit.
No, I love everything you're sharing. I have a deep connection to the dragon lineages, dragon channeling, dragon transmissions, and how I first connected with them is when I was in China. And you talk about these dragon masters, and when you're talking about it, my whole body was tingling.
Literally made to
that was a key code, mentioning the dragon masters, because I'm just getting the messages right now. The dragon masters are literally dragons in human form, because the dragon consciousness is very shape shiftable. And these dragon masters is in particular in Tibet, China, those regions of the Far East. Those Himalayan mountains have many portals. And I did a lot of traveling in my day. And one thing I would always do is, when I fly into a land, I always sit window seat, and I would always study the contours of the land, and the land contours would reveal animals. So I would know the major totems of the land by looking at the contours from the plane. And for example, when I'd fly into Vancouver, Canada, I would see salmon. It was wow. The salmon is the medicine of the Pacific Northwest, because the whole rainforest, the whole ecosystems are based on the salmon. And when I flew into China, of course, I saw dragons. I saw dragons in the rivers. I saw dragons in the crevices. And, we look at the Chinese astrology, it's every animal in Chinese astrology exists. So why is there one dragon in that astrology and it's obviously not symbology? These are real beings. And like you mentioned, we're kind of, as a Starseed collective, we're remembering, and we're bringing them back through our messages, through our transmissions. So if you're in the audience right now and you feel the dragons, you feel this connection, your energy right now is actually invoking them onto planet Earth, because like you said, and just echoing off you, these dragons kind of went underground because the consciousness of our planet wasn't ready, and they are, although they're powerful, they're also peaceful. And they knew the human lineage had to learn a lot. And now we're coming to this new cycle where finally the universe is opening to the higher dimension. I mean, Earth is open to higher dimensions, and they're revealing themselves. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you for bringing these codes to this information. And from my experience, and I'd love to hear yours. So I did a course on the dragons, and actually I was guided to do it. I kept getting guided to a sacred site here in where I live in British Columbia. And the first time I went there, the dragons talked to me clear as day. And they're like, we want you to do a course on us and channel our information. And I just like, I get so many messages, so much intuition. I'm like, I didn't really take note of it. And I'm like, okay. But I was having so many messages from that spot. I just carried on my life. And I was guided back there the next week. And I got the exact same message. So I'm like, okay, I need to do this. And when I did it, and I just came into the open channel state to learn from the dragons, they took me down into Agartha. And that sacred site was actually a hot springs. So it's like literally they were connecting to me from Middle Earth. And I'm curious, I know they're very multidimensional, but do you get a lot of your transmissions from Middle Earth, or is it they also have cosmic lineages? But I'm just curious, what's your relationship, and perhaps that will enlighten all the people in the audience as well.
I have an interesting relationship with dragons. Firstly, I want to say the Middle Earth thing, absolutely, because that's what was coming through to me yesterday. And what they were showing me was like, we need to take people through these underground temples in the initiation that I'm running, and like introduce them to these different portals underground. And I was in Mexico last year on a grid work mission working with Quetzalcoatl, or Kukulkan in Mexican, which is it's a dragon, right?
It's a dragon.
100. I wrote a book about this, and I'm like tripping balls, realizing it's all connected, because I was shown the pyramids, like the main pyramids. Inside, there's this inverted pyramid, which goes into the underground, which is like a portal for death and rebirth, and where souls can come through and basically go through this whole rebirth process. So that was part one of the pilgrimage, was like me in Mexico, bringing back Mayan stuff, working in that way. And now I'm like being guided to various places. So Bali, I'm here now, and like I don't want to get into like the whole what's going on in Bali and how it's really heavy and how it's shifted, and I've been called here to support the land here because there's a lot of corruption. But there are temples underground, and they're not like the main temples that the people go to in Bali. They're like underground temples, they're dragon temples, and these are portals to other dimensions. So I just love that you said that. But to go back to like when I say dragon energy, for me, it's me. It's not it's not like so much beings that come through. It's like me mastering my energy. And it's not even my kundalini anymore. It's like my kundalini and my masculine. So my feminine and my masculine in complete freaking harmony. And I am like, that's why Isis and Osiris are coming through earlier. You know how I said, oh, they're coming through and I feel them. It's the dragon carries the code of like complete sacred union, right? And that is within us. And so when you are able to command your own life force, which is your kundalini, your feminine, your Shakti, command it in a way where you are directing it, you are clear, you are in your heart, like this is masculine stuff. So I had to heal a lot of masculine stuff while working with this energy. You become a master, and you are, it's like you're tapping into highest potential, greatest good, greatest becoming, highest callings, right? And when you're tapping into that, it's like miracles fucking happen to support you. Yes. You are like infinitely supported. Like the synchronicities to get me to this place where I am now is like insane. Because it's like you're tapping into something. You're tapping into creator. Like you're tapping into God codes. Like that's what it is. It's like God codes. Yes. So that's how I relate to dragon energy. And my mission personally, it's not so much like esoteric dragon beings. I know that they're here. I connect with them, but it's about becoming the fucking dragon. Yeah. I'm not interested in calling on something outside of me. I'm interested in embodying it. And my whole journey has been about embodying it and being the dragon, right? And like actually being that, like being that force here, showing people and anchoring it here. And that's how we, that's how we really land dragon codes more than anything. It's like, I'm going to embody my highest fucking soul calling. I'm going to embody my highest sovereignty, my highest divine love, my highest inner union. And when I do all of those things, it harmonizes. So what I was shown about like dragon energy, when you're commanding it and it's not commanding you, because for many years of my life, I went through a pretty chaotic Kundalini awakening, and she rode my ass. Like I was incapacitated, couldn't control it. Like it was pretty brutal. But when I learned to finally command, like it act like an alchemist and command that energy to, shape matter in whatever way for the highest good, I was shown it like harmonizes whole fields of space. They're harmonized. Like it brings everything into resonance with this higher frequency. And so that's like, we are anchoring that wherever we're going, we are bringing things into harmony with us, with this frequency that we are embodying. We are like, it's coming through us, right? Does that make sense when I'm
Wow.
saying that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have similar intel and experience, and it's like the dragon is our higher self in many ways. And us returning to our dragon nature through embodiment is essentially us embodying our soul truth. And it's interesting because Yeshua, and you might be like,
here we go.
Yeshua, master. Some people call him Jesus, some call him Yeshua. He goes by many names. And Yeshua, when he visits me, often in dragon form. And, and that's like the rebellious energy that he carried in his life of like being multidimensional. I feel like the dragon energy is very multidimensional. It could be real, but also it could be loving. And it's like the entire spinal column, the Kundalini, and it's like bringing all these energy bodies into one intelligence, and then we enter our mastery. So I love how you're embodying it. I think that is always the highest path, in my opinion. And we need dragon people right now. And like you said, it can be misconstrued. It can be judged, especially in the spiritual communities, because like they're just like transfixed on love and light. And love and light.
Oh my God. Thank
Don't
you
get me
for
wrong.
going here. Yes. Because like I was feeling something
Okay,
coming,
good.
and then you started saying it, and I was like, yes, we're going to clear some shit out of the way.
Let's get to the truth, right? Let's get to the truth.
It's like people are so afraid of their power, of their dark, like the dark elements. And it's like humanity is afraid of this because it's so fucking potent. They don't understand it. Like humanity didn't understand this. And so they labeled it. It's like the dark feminine. We're gonna go into a rant about the dark feminine, how misunderstood the dark feminine or even the dark masculine is. Labeled a whore, a this or that, like a rapist for a man. And it's like these aspects that we repress is because of we're afraid.
Yeah.
Like humans are afraid. They were like afraid of these beings so in their power because they like love themselves completely, because they love all the aspects of themselves, including the darkness. So I feel like that's clearing some like there's this fucking coding, and it's bullshit, and it's love and light bullshit coding, and I'm calling that out. Like I'm here to be the fucking Kali Ma dark goddess right now. That's my energy. I'm calling that out because our community of starseeds needs to stand the fuck up. I don't know what is happening right now. I just like need to yell at some people. We need to stand the fuck up and start building the new earth. And that requires getting uncomfortable. That requires doing some shit that is not like bypassing our emotions and our heaviness and all love and light. Like it's like, actually, no, shit needs to crumble. Shit needs to fall apart for this new earth to be built. I write about this in my book, like at length. And it's like avoiding the destruction, the chaos, the darkness, avoiding death, avoiding dying. Like I've died a million fucking times. I'm sure many of you on here have. Avoiding that is avoiding our true nature. It's denying God. And so there is like this whole thing about like no more repression, no more repression, no more whitewashing, lightwashing, whatever you want to call it.
Whew. Yes. I'm totally on the same page. I think we've had these conversations before. I don't know if we have, but we got to be real, and we can't bypass, because if we bypass, we're not really being masters. We're not being guardians, and we're kind of, what's really interesting, like go by the name Flo Karuna, and the word Karuna means compassion. And personally, I think the most uncompassionate act that we can do is pretending like it doesn't exist, right? Like it's actually true love and light. There's a fake love and light, and there's a true love and light. And the true love and light is, I'm going to go everywhere. I'm going to go everywhere and not hide, and bring it on. I'm obviously going to have wisdom to know like when something's off. Like we got to like honor our energy body. But if great spirit creator guides me to do some work, you're in service, and this is what Yeshua did, right? I'm writing a book on Yeshua, and it's like, man, this guy was a badass. He was a rebel. He knew when to say no. He wasn't just love and light. He was, fuck no, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And also, I come from the light. So we can be it all. And this is what the dragons teach us, and what these dragon masters, especially like, I feel that I'm so strong in my soul lineage, the Tibetan ones that are in my field right now. And they're like, we've been teaching neutrality in all our practices, because neutrality harmonizes the Ida and Pingula, or feminine and masculine, and allows Kundalini to rise. And people mistake what non-judgment is. I just really have to say this. They think non-judgment is not feeling and becoming
Thank you.
desensitized, but it's actually not the case.
Yeah.
It's becoming even more sensitive. However, you're not labeling it. And I find that's where the masters access, and they go into like the subconscious, they go into the caves, they go into the inner earth. And we need these, as echoing you, we need this right now. And everyone's unique. I just want to be clear. Everyone has their own unique mission. And I don't like to be like, hey, you got to do this. It's like, do you. However, like, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Follow your truth.
What I have come to learn about dragons, and I was feeling this so strongly. They're like, say this when you were, or I mean, I was saying this, say this, because I am a dragon. But like, they will go to the depths of the freaking underworld with you to empower you. Like, they will take you to the deepest, darkest, ugliest, shadowiest, most fucked up thing within you, and love it. And they will love it so fiercely that it just, like, there is like, it just explodes it into love. And then that's what alchemy is. It's like being able to go into the depths of the depths of the depths of the depths of the depths and just love bomb the shit out of it, right? And that's what this journey is about. And that's what Jesus did. He didn't look at the person who was, you know, like sinning or horrible, whatever it is, like judgment from the people, dirty because she has a period. Like, we're not going to go rant about that, but like, he loved that. He loved the darkness. And I think that's what dragons are. They're willing to get dirty and go there with you, you know?
Right. I love, because people, maybe someone jumping down right now, like, Jesus, dragons, how are they connected?
Absolutely.
But they're so connected. And so one of my first spiritual teachers, he belonged to the golden dragon lineage. And this was before I went to China and Tibet. And at that time, I would always like have themes of like seeing spirit animals, like, oh, I'm seeing eagles everywhere, I'm seeing bears everywhere. And then at one point in my journey, I kept seeing dragons. So I'm like, why am I keeping on seeing dragons? And I ended up going to a farmer's market and bought like dragon wristbands. And I knew they were like my guardians. And then I ended up meeting my teacher. And why I bring that up is my teacher used to always share like, I think people might take this the wrong way, but he's like, I know to go into the light and the darkness equally and navigate. And at that time I was like, oh man, how do you do that? Right? Like, I'm sensitive being, and that scares me to go into those worlds. But as I develop my energy body and drop my ignorance, it's like, no, the source is everywhere, and there's medicine everywhere, and this is a great universe city, and this university of realms. There's deep medicine in those places. And I'm not like saying I want to live there, but I access the shamanic realms. I go into Agartha, and it's interesting. The dragons are in Agartha, and they're like, come on, starseeds, we got stuff to see you. So I feel like we're kind of being led intentionally right now into inner earth.
And like, that comes with an awareness. And I think this is the fear that people have, and they don't go there. Like, they know when they're going into the underworld, they're dying. Like, there's a death that happens, and that's not the death, the termination of life. It's a death of a version of themselves. And it's this constant death and rebirth. This is what Jesus represents. I had a vision before we jumped on, and I was like sending some healing, and I saw Isis and Osiris, and I said to you, it's coming through. I saw Osiris there dead, and then Isis resurrecting him. And it's this constant like death and resurrection, death and resurrection, death and resurrection of all the versions of ourselves, right? And like Jesus died, resurrected. So the dragon is our resurrected form. And if we're not facing these deaths within us, then we're not able to evolve. And I think that's the fucking juice. And
That's
again, don't get
juice.
addicted. Don't get
That's juice.
addicted to this. I've been addicted to the shadow work, and like, oh, I'm gonna get off on all my weird
Yeah,
shadowy
no,
shit. And you can
this
make
is
it really
important too.
kinky.
This is very important. Starseeds,
Yeah.
including myself, we can get addicted to healing,
Yeah.
and that's a slippery slope.
Absolutely. But we can also like turn it into pleasure. And I've figured out that there's a very, very, very fine line between like pleasure and pain. And so for me, I alchemize like the deepest, darkest, dirtiest, most shameful, horrible, painful stuff through finding and deriving pleasure in it. So feeling it, like this is Tantra, right? Feeling something, the sensation of it in its fullness, completely like diving headfirst into it until it shifts. And so like that's my like I can go down some suffering holes because they're actually kind of enjoyable. That's my little thing that I do as a human. But that's, I think, like people don't realize we derive some sort of pleasure on some level from the suffering, or it wouldn't be there, right? So it's like, don't avoid the suffering, because on some level you're kind of enjoying it, which is like, it's a very far out way of seeing things, but that's how I see it. Like, it's like, we didn't come here in this human form to never experience suffering. Like, yes, we're moving towards that, and that is what being anchored heaven on earth is. It's like to move past and transcend the suffering. But trying to run away from the suffering is like trying to run away from the
Life.
reason you came here to
Running away
suffer. Like
from life.
yeah, it's running away from life. And you can't experience intense pleasure and joy and ecstasy if you're not prepared to fucking suffer for it a little bit. Not saying you have to suffer. I just need to like
It
keep
reminds
saying
us
that
we're
because
alive.
absolutely. Yes.
That's, I think,
Yeah.
Michael Franti.
Mm-hmm.
That's how life reminds us we're alive.
Yeah.
That's how life
Yeah.
reminds us we're alive. And like those lyrics are talking about like these trials and tribulations that we all go through reminds us we're here in this bodysuit, and it instills compassion. It
Yeah.
instills like, let's work together, we're all on this journey in many ways. And so
Someone ask a question. Wait,
yeah,
I really want to
I'll
like
get to
answer
that.
this question.
I
Yeah.
will. We're on the same page because I was literally about to jump into the chat. And
Yeah.
before I get to that question, I scrolled up
Mm-hmm.
ahead, and Fountain of Health, she was talking about the dragons have been showing themselves in the clouds. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to share quickly, if you trace like the history of dragons in various cultures around the world, there's a commonality that the dragons work with the weather. So
Mm-hmm.
cultures around the world, if we're talking about like indigenous cultures, China, Egypt, places all around this beautiful planet had the same perception. Dragons work with the weather. So often you will see them in the clouds, but you'll see them in elements. They represent elements. That's why a lot of people see colors in dragons, and they're very one with the creation building blocks. Okay, so what's this question? Let's jump to it.
Oh fuck, I've lost it now. But I think someone
How do you
asked,
do that?
yeah. So like it's yes, being an observer, but it's also like you've got to find a way to separate your consciousness from that part of you that's in pain. I've become really good at this from like going really deep in some past life stuff. It's like, this is a version of me who is in pain and suffering. There is pain and suffering. It's not my pain and suffering. It just is. It just fucking is. It's just there. Like, I'm not going to judge it because it's just there. So can you like just allow it to be there and not try and change it and not try and like fix it? You're not broken. You don't need to heal it. You just need to be with it compassionately. So one thing I do to myself is I hold myself and I lovingly talk to myself and I say, hey, like this stream of consciousness that's coming up today still, like I know you're there. Like I have a lot of old wounds coming up, and hey, Beck, hey, little Beck, I love you. I love you. I'm like, it's okay. You're safe. You're safe. I love you. Right. I just say this to myself over and over again. We can go there. I'm here with you. Let's go there. I'm ready to go there. Let's go there. I'm holding you. Right. So if you are lacking in like a strong masculine protector provider energy, fractal alchemy, absolutely. Hey, Lonnie, if you're lacking in that masculine, then you need to be that masculine for yourself, like holding that Yeshua, holding that Shiva, holding that whatever it is. If you're lacking in that feminine, you need to be able to like go into the emotion. But if you can hold yourself as if you were holding someone else, like a wounded animal, or like say your lover was going through some shit, you're not going to say, get over it. Like, get over the emotion that you're going through. You're going to lovingly sit there and be like, I'm here as long as it takes. Like, I see that you're going through shit and I fucking love you. And I'm here as long as it takes. And there's no way, you know, I'm going to just abandon you in this. I'm here. Right. So yeah, that's how I would do it. How would you do it?
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's such a layered question, but I've been so trained in meditation in this lifetime that I tend to, if I'm going through any sort of like inverse feelings or, you know, feeling off, I really like to just calm myself first, if possible. And when I get calmness, I could diagnose myself. I don't like the word diagnose, just observe myself in a way that doesn't add fuel to the fire. I just see what is transpiring and I don't hold on to it anymore. I kind of like see like clouds, but every moment is so unique, right? I like to tell people, you know, there's no blueprint. It's literally like knowledge is knowledge. We literally have to be so present and allow whatever the knowledge is of the moment to guide us. Other times it's like, yeah, like you said, self-compassion, self-love, connecting to your inner child. There's so many ways, but so I want to shift it a little. You have recently written a book,
Yes.
and could you, while we have all these beautiful people in the house, you know, plugged in, could you share a little more about this book? And I've read the first chapters in the read through, and it's quite the journey, to say the least. And I would love for you to give
Awesome.
people a little taste of that project.
Amazing. Cool. Thank you. You listened to them actually. You listened to them, you didn't read them. So there's an audiobook with it. It's called Diamond Light Oracle, and it is a journey about like the journey of death and rebirth. It's a journey of priestess to oracle. So or turning into a dragon. There's lots of dragon energy through the book as well. But how do I explain it? It's a sacred codex. Like, it's an activation. And I walk you through this whole journey to become crystalline. So it's a diamond light body activation. It takes you through my journey. So I use myself as like I guess, like a vessel for the message to come through. And I take you through the journey that I've gone through working with sacred sites. It's really linked to Mayan codes. Like I mentioned, I was working with Kukulkan. I worked in ancient Maya. So lots of Mayan lineage is coming back through this book, ancient Mayan codes. And also grid working. Like, I talk a lot about grid work. I talk about Kundalini. I talk about feminine and masculine. There's a huge divine masculine healing through this book. Like, that's probably one of the biggest things, is because, like, collectively that's what's really present at the moment, like divine masculine healing, divine masculine embodiment. And it's like, especially for women, there's a lot of healing that needs to happen around the masculine. So there's like activation of warrior coding in this book, where it's like clearing and purifying and restoring the pure template of divine masculine power, which is the warrior. And it's beautiful light masculine energy. So it's a series of like activations and initiations, but it takes you through my journey. And like, this book dragged me through the freaking mud to birth it through me. It was a huge initiation. I had to get really real and vulnerable and raw, and I share things in there that, like, the resistance to share this stuff was like huge, because it was me outing myself as an ancient oracle, like, which is, you know, the amount of shit that could happen if I do that. So yeah, it was quite a journey. People are having all sorts of crazy experiences journeying it, because it's a living codex. It's a experience that you go through, and it initiates you in its way. So what did you experience when you were like going through
Yeah,
it?
I felt that journey. And I think some of the most powerful transmissions are not necessarily telling people directly, but taking them vicariously through one's journey. And so it's like a story. It's an adventure. At least the chapter I was listening to at the start, and I think it's gonna activate a lot of people, to give them the confidence to follow their truth, follow their path, and it's very fascinating. The Diamond Light body. So I actually just recently got initiated in Diamond Light body. Where did this Diamond Light body come for you? I'm just curious if this connected to my journey.
It was through the process of birthing the book. Like, so I was having my diamond light body installed as I was channeling the book. And like, literally, the book it's like I birthed it through me. So then people can receive that codex that I went through and then have theirs activated. So it's like the activations, they're like sound journeys, and each one is a coded activation to awaken that within them. I don't know if I answered your question, but like
Yeah.
it was the process of writing the book that like brought mine online, the purification for my diamond light body, and then the next process started, which is the next light body up, which is they're never ending. There's like so many of them, so
Okay.
it's like it's not the end, but that was like the process for me, was becoming crystalline, turning into an alchemist, turning into a dragon, like embodying my higher self, stepping into an oracle. There's all different ways of saying the same fucking thing, and it's like this huge initiation to become who we are, like to become on a soul level who we truly are, and dropping the identification of the ego. So it's like my my resistance that was coming up, like I have to share it through the book, because it's like people are going to relate to that, like the resistance that humans go through when they're going through this massive spiritual transformation to stand up and be their highest self. It's like their ego is kicking and screaming, and it's ugly. Like it was, my process of having my diamond light body installed was fucking ugly, and I share it vulnerably, and you know, it's hopefully so people understand it's not a graceful process. It's brutal. Like it was brutal for me. And a lot of this ascension stuff can be pretty brutal, like physical stuff, mental stuff, purging, all sorts of stuff. And people need to understand it's like serving us. It's a process which is serving us, and it's here for us, and we're not being victimized by it. And I think that's what I struggle to understand, like a lot of the time, like it's here for me, and this is like, it's a beautiful process. And now it's like I wanted to share like what a diamond represents, and that's kind of, I think, how I would sum up the diamond light body. A diamond can only be cut by another diamond. A diamond is born through pressure, right? So it's like synthesized through pressure, through the like say struggle or hardship, because we literally said this whole thing about that, but like it's birthed and forged in the flames, in the mantle of the earth, and under intense pressure. So then it becomes unpenetrable, like unfuckwithable. Like only a diamond can cut another diamond. Not only that, but it's pure, and it radiates out with purity. It's an amplifier. It radiates, right? Instead of like taking on stuff, like taking on everyone's shit as an empath, like taking on everyone's stuff all the time, taking it on, taking it on, taking it on. It's like, nah, I'm radiating out light. I'm radiating out love. I'm radiating out power. And that's how I'm serving now. I'm radiating out. I'm not taking into me. I'm radiating out. So that's what the process of becoming a diamond to me was. And it's also like, if you move through this process and you move through this initiation, it's because you're here to radiate that out. And people like Yeshua, they weren't liked, right? It comes back to the dragon energy. Absolutely. Yeah. Some of them were not liked, and it's triggering. And so it's like, you need to, like me sharing this stuff in my book, I share some prophecy in there that's pretty intense. Like it had me purging some stuff to be able to share that the way that I do, because it's some stuff that a lot of people in spiritual community are not talking about. It's quite triggering. It's pretty like me in the energy I was in earlier, calling some shit out. Talks about destruction and chaos and all these things. To be able to share that and be like, some people are gonna fucking hate me for it. And I knew that, and I was told that as I was channeling it. Like, people are gonna hate you for this. Some people, not all people. Some people are gonna get it, and be able to share that.
Right.
Yeah, share it and be like, well, I'm a diamond. It's like, try and cut me. No, I'm kidding. But like, you know, I'm gonna radiate, and if you don't like me radiating, then that's a you thing. It's not a me thing, right? So that's the process.
Exactly.
And
don't take it personally.
Some of us are here to share things that are going to trigger people, and they're going to make people like have to look at themselves, because in that pure, like, you are a pure vessel for God, for source, for higher self, for universe, whatever word I use. God, I like that word. God, I have a relationship with God. Not everyone does. When you're that pure, because you've become a fucking diamond, your light is going to bring up some shit for other people, and they're not going to know how to deal with it. Some people are not going to know. So it's like, you need to be able to radiate that, reflect it out without worrying. Like, am I going to offend people? Am I going to upset people? One of the things you said to me is like, I love your truth codes, your authenticity codes. And it's like, I had to go through so many initiations to be able to speak candidly and not care. And I think it's because those of us who are having to step up and lead in some way as these new earth leaders, as these light workers, starseeds, whatever you want to call it, like, we're going to have to do things that people would like lock us in an institution for, say things, not do things. I don't want to say do things, but say things that, you know, maybe years ago we would have been put in a mental institution for.
Right.
So it's like, we've got to have that alignment in our energy.
Yep. And unfortunately, we have a lot of support. We have a lot of ground team right now. Our planet is filled with Awakened Starseeds. There's 112K followers on this account, and which is
Well done.
mind-boggling. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not me, it's the planet, and I'm just honored to serve this. But like, even on at one point in TikTok, the hashtag starseeds was like one of the highest ranking taglines. So I just want to add that to, we have to be authentic, but it's also very supported at this time,
Yeah.
which is, thank heavens, like that is the case. It's a lot easier. Right?
I was
It's not
talking to
super
this
easy,
woman.
but
I was talking to this woman
yeah,
who's like, she's a bit older. She's like 60, 70. She did this massage for me, and she was like, "Oh man, you guys have it so easy compared to like when I was talking about this stuff,
yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
back in the 70s, like, like, so it's, we are lucky in that way for
We
sure."
are lucky, and I thank you for mentioning that, because I think it's very important, if we're reaping the fruits of the past, to honor the ancestors. And I honor not just the ancient ancestors, but we're talking about like these individuals who are still alive right now on
Yeah.
planet Earth, who were the indigos, who were doing all like that Woodstock loving
Gangsters,
stuff.
love it.
And
Yeah.
I've met many of these elders, and when I meet them, I'm always thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Without you, you forged a path, right? And I read these biographies of like, man, just like random people born in like some small town in the United States, and they were getting like hardcore mystical downloads. And imagine, like, I don't even want to imagine, but we're just super blessed right now, and I just want to honor you for bringing out your oracle codes, for bringing out your priestess codes, and for allowing these transmissions to flow through you into this alive book that you've created. And so how can people find your book?
Yeah. So you can go to diamondlightoracle.com, and like all the links are there. You can get it off Amazon, but you can't get the audiobook through there. So if you want to receive the audio, head to my website, which is diamondlightoracle.com. And yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey. I'm really excited for people to receive it. People say that like they literally open the book and they start reading the intro and they're crying and like clearing and feeling things. So it's pretty cool. And
Great.
your face has some stuff on it.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know how people multitask in live. I always see people on lives and they're like talking to everybody, and I'm like, I don't know how they multitask, but
you're also
so long just
dudes are like terrible.
It's like there's talented people in this world, but sorry, I'm not that multitasker. So I apologize if I wasn't like responding to you all in the chat, but I'm just super honored to have you, dear Beck. I'm going to be seeing you in Europe. I'm sure there might be some more collaborations online. You could check her out at diamondlightoracle.com. And the dragons are alive. They're breathing through us. And let's just continue to be in our mastery self. Let's feel all the dimensions, be multidimensional beings, feel the rawness and feel the lightness. And this is how we bring heaven into earth and earth into heaven. So I love you, family. It's been an honor, Beck, to receive just like that. Time flied by. That was like 50 minutes, and like, what? We were on a portal. So congratulations to anyone who stayed, because I know in our Instagram world, it's easy to just keep clicking, and I understand that, so I ain't judging. Anyway, I love you, family. diamondlightoracle.com. Add this dear one up and hit me up. I'm always open to get your messages, and we're here to build community. So peace and love, and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Cracked Open. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend if this episode has served you in any way. For more information about the work that I do, or to get in touch with me, read the show notes or head to beckmylonas.com. Until next time, beautiful soul.